Let's get
Hold on a second, I'm gonna grab everything on camera. No, I'm kidding.
We hate it too, believe me, we hate it.
It's part of the gig now,
We
right?
never watch it. I never watch it. I can't.
I can't either.
I'm gonna use this for my acting reel,
There you
in
go.
case I wanna get.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, you are good.
Are we good to go?
Ma'am.
I'd like to call to order this meeting, Town of Dayton Board of Health. Wednesday, October 29th, 2024. At this time, we should stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Could I have a roll call? We never do a roll call. I'm Barbara Catavia, Chair.
Tammy Mello.
Vinnie Hebel.
There we go. We're gonna do this every night from now on.
I can put member introductions in there.
Pardon?
I can put member introductions on the.
Okay, yeah, that way people know who we are, besides the name, please. Okay, let me see, tonight we're going to have town nurse interviews. At this time, I'd like to introduce Tony Molina, is that how you say it?
Correct.
Okay, Tony, could you stand up to the podium, please? I'll start with the first question and then we'll take turns. Hopefully we can go in the right way because last time we messed up. It was my fault. Please tell us about yourself, your education and work experience, and how you feel this has prepared you for the position of public health nurse for the town of Dayton.
All right, so I have been working as a nurse for, let's see, it's be 8 years coming up this winter. Nursing was a second degree for me. Prior to being a nurse, first degree was in political science. So I've got extensive experience within the hospital setting, but then the political science background gives me kind of that knowledge, you could say, of kind of navigating
Mhm.
the public sector side of things.
And that's very important in this
Mhm.
position.
Yeah, so I think there aren't too many people, I mean, I can't say for sure, but I don't think there's too many people that have the kind of background that I have, because I'm not just a nurse. I've got the political science background, I've got some background working. Prior to becoming a nurse, I worked in business to business sales, and so I've done a few different things, I've worn a few different hats, so I have a little bit more experience outside of just bedside nursing, so I think that'll make a big difference.
Great. Like next, you do it
Sure.
next, Tammy?
Please describe any past experience you have working with a local Board of Health and or the Mass Department of Public Health.
So I wouldn't say I have any extensive experience there. I mean, it's kind of a tough thing to get unless you're actually working within that. I'd say the closest thing I would have to anything like that was just, it wasn't direct at all, but the time I spent working directly on a COVID unit during the height of the pandemic. You may not be working directly with the public, but you're kind of at the forefront of it all. So you got to know the ins and outs of everything. So unfortunately, I don't have any experience directly working with the public, but you know, beyond what I did in clinical, you know, like community health clinical was in Boston Public Schools. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, that was really interesting clinical.
I
I
bet.
remember when I first did it, I was kind of surprised by it because I didn't know how much went into what a school nurse does. Because when you're a kid, you grow up, you go to the nurse, you have a headache, you're
Right,
trying to, you know, probably trying to go home early, right?
yeah.
But there's so much that the school nurses do that goes beyond just handing out crackers, ginger ale, and Tylenol. And I think it's one of those things that I wish more people could see that, because they have to navigate the system. There's a lot of kids who come into school and maybe don't have the resources at home that are gonna allow them to do those things. The school nurse kind of fills in those gaps. There's, you know, you see the kids with chronic issues that the nurse has to sort of balance everything within the school system. And so that was a really awesome experience. And I remember going into it thinking like, I'm not gonna learn too much here. I was blown away by all that I learned. So that was a really great experience. And that may have gone a little sidetracked, but that's my extent of my experience within the public health system.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. I could go on and on, but
Yeah.
you guys have a lot of time, so I'll do my best not
Oh,
to.
we've got all night. Vinnie?
Yeah, how do you feel about working with our schools to adapt new programs such as CPR training for students?
I think that would be really awesome because it is such an important skill to know, and it's one of those things that you just don't learn in school. I mean, I don't think I learned how to do CPR until I was in nursing school and had to get my BLS certification. But you never know when that skill set's going to come in handy. And I really enjoy teaching, so being able to be part of that sort of education side of things would be really interesting. And again, like I said, that's a very important skill for people to know. So I'd love to be able to help implement something like that and bring that program along.
That's one of my favorite little programs.
I wish-
I'd love to see it as a requirement for graduation.
Yeah.
I really do. I know some school systems, they've actually done a basic teaching of CPR in the junior high schools.
Mhm,
And then they reiterated it when they got to a high school.
mhm.
And I don't know it. I've got to have the guys give us a class. I don't know CPR and I wish I did.
Tammy does, I do. I'm certified.
Are you?
I
No,
do.
I'm not. Nope. Are you, Leonard? You must be certified CPR. Yeah.
Mhm.
Liz,
I am.
am I the only one?
I'm like Minerva too in the same class.
Also
Yeah.
very important.
I think every kid should know that.
Yes.
Oh,
They should
absolutely.
know how to save them.
Yeah.
You know what I
Absolutely.
would like to implement now is when you're choking, it's the thing that sucks out. It's a little implement.
Yes, that
And
device
I
is
think
really
that should be
cool.
on every school bus.
Mhm,
I was
mhm.
going home just about a month ago and there was a child, school bus was on the side of the road, Center Street, and the child was choking.
Mhm.
I pulled over because I saw this lady like leaning into the stairway and the child was choking. She
Mhm.
could still talk and it ended up, she finally coughed it out. I was going back to my Tahoe to call the police to get up there. And it was a lifesaver.
Yeah, those things are really
That's
cool.
probably why she could still breathe, because it has a hole in it.
That's
Mm,
right,
yeah.
yeah. She could, but she was crying, she was hurting, and the bus driver didn't know what to do, and the lady didn't know what to do, and I was like, well, she's still sitting here crying, so she's breathing.
That's good.
But if they had had that little, I don't know what it is, it's like a little.
I always
squeezy
forget the
thing.
name. We have one in my house.
It's almost like a plunger, or I guess
Yes.
the opposite of a plunger because it's
It's
pulling, but. same
suction.
concept, Yeah,
I'll
my wife
remember.
and I wanted to get one for our house, just
Definitely worth it.
you never know when that's
No.
you're gonna need
I've
that.
already talked to our alliance that we belong to, 5 towns,
Mhm.
and asked them if it was possible, if we could start getting that for our school system and for the school buses.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to have something like that.
Because that's not a one-time thing. It happened to me when I was driving school bus with my own son.
Oh, geez.
And I was trying to pull the bus over. He was about 4 years old. And I was pulling the bus over and thankfully there was a boy, 12, he was 11, 12 years old, and he just took my son, turned him upside down and whacked him.
Mhm.
And candy came out. So now see, that is like, it happened to me and then I saw it happen just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So kids are like that. Okay. Guess I'm next. Please describe your experience with Maven and disease reporting in Massachusetts.
Same thing, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know until you're actually in it. Working in a hospital, you're not gonna have any real reason to use something like Maven or reporting to the public health beyond
Right.
what you're dealing with right then.
Mhm.
So again, kind of goes back to the biggest thing for me was working with COVID and hearing how all of that was reported and my general sort of reading up on it, but I-
That's fine. There are classes to take
yeah,
that's not, I don't think that's a big thing.
yeah.
And hopefully we won't need it. Again.
Fingers crossed.
Yes,
Knock on the
really,
door.
yes.
To get paid for the classes and stuff like that. So, Anything that he would have to do, would be compensated.
Right.
Okay, please give us an example of a community health program you developed, ran, or participated in.
Same thing probably as before was when I worked in did my clinical in the Boston Public School Systems.
Okay.
So that's probably the biggest one. Did I develop much? No, but I was
Mhm.
working with the nurses and working with the students directly. So more so implementing what they were working on and just trying to assist where I could.
How about when you were working, you said in sales? Was there anything that you implemented that?
And from a public health perspective,
Well, sales, you implement things and
oh yeah, I mean.
it's the mindset. It
Yes,
doesn't have to
exactly.
be help.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, I mean, implementing things in sales
Mhm.
all the time and having kind of done various different roles in sort of sales. But just where actually even in my current role, it's sort of a transition role where I kind of bridge the gap between the sales side and the clinical side for
Mhm.
the company. And I'm working directly with people trying to just figure out the process and see how we can improve on things versus how it was done before. So
Perfect.
you're constantly doing process
Mhm.
improvement, and I appreciate you pointing that out to me because I never thought of it from that perspective, but
Mhm.
you know.
No, that's something this Board of Health is all about.
Mhm,
New things, better things, more
Yeah.
efficient,
mhm,
and more of an outreach to
Yeah,
the residents of Dayton.
and I think that's very important
Mhm.
too, and
Oh, I think so, definitely, definitely.
can't keep doing things the same way, right?
No, and I'm not saying things are bad the way
No,
they
of
were,
course not.
but I'm saying we've got to keep up with the residents and we've got, younger residents coming in all the time and we've got to keep up with them.
Yeah.
There are programs out there. Vinnie's working on grants and we're all working on programs. We're getting out there and really seeing what's available to the town of Dayton.
Mhm.
We don't want to be left back in the 1900s. I'm sorry, Vinnie, you can go.
Was it my turn? Oh,
Yes.
Would you have any difficulty implementing any local, state, or federal public health protocol that you do not agree with?
I mean, obviously, there's probably things that come up that you don't agree with. That happens every day, right? Yeah, you're never gonna agree with anything 100%. But if it's one of those things that it's what's best for the town and it's what's
Mhm.
best for the public, that's really what matters at the end of the day. And you have to put your own personal things aside when you're working for the town and the people.
Yes, you
Right.
do.
So whatever I believe goes
Mhm.
this way. If that's what the town wants, if that's what the Board of Selectmen wants,
Mhm.
you gotta go by the will of the people, right?
Yeah. We
Yeah.
try to.
Yeah, okay, and within
As
reason,
long
of
as
course,
it's
right?
legal.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you provide specific examples of your recent experience working with clients, elders, the general public, and families?
How much time do you folks have? No, I'll try to keep it short, but
Mhm.
when you're a nurse working in the hospital, you're working with the elderly every day, and you have to understand that what their needs are and where they are and how to best meet them where they are. That's people in general, but especially with the elderly, because you don't know what sort of resources they have or what sort of
Exactly.
knowledge they have. And I think it's really important that you always have to do a fact-finding mission of sorts to see where everybody is and then again, meet them on their level. And that's something you do every day as a nurse, no matter what sort of role you're in. And then, of course, you're dealing with families, happy families, angry families, and everything in between. So you're sort of prepared for anything. And then, of course, clients, you have to figure out what they need and what works best for them.
Definitely.
Do you have any recent experience doing clinical work with patients such as immunizations and TB testing?
We did at the Brigham, we kind of wasn't necessarily patients, but we would do the It's been a long time since I've actually had to do it, the actual TB test though, where you're going under the skin, very, been a long time since I've had to do that, but, and I can't say it was too frequent, but, so we did a lot of that, and then, repeat the question for me again, I feel like I got a little sidetracked there. If you don't mind.
Do you have any recent experience doing clinical work with patients such as immunizations and TB testing?
And then in terms of the immunizations, I mean, it's a lot of what we were doing in the hospital setting, and we were giving them before patients left if they hadn't had them, but it was, a lot of it was making sure when you're going through their med reconciliation, seeing what they have, what they're up to date on, what they need. So sometimes you'll find out when you're going through the admission assessment that they haven't received this one recently, or they haven't received this, and as best you can, you try to bring all those resources into place. Now, sometimes in the hospital, the things get in the way of that because there's a million other things, but you do your best to make sure they get that before they leave. So that would be what I would say I've done with immunization specifically.
Thank you.
Do you have any relationships with local stakeholders or provider groups who you'd be able to call upon as a resource on behalf of Dayton residents as our public health nurse?
I still have a lot, I mean, granted, I don't work directly in a hospital anymore, but I still have a lot of contacts within the hospital system. I've always done a really good job of staying in touch with people, so I'd say I'm pretty good at, if I don't know the exact person, I can find the right person. And again, over the years between nursing school and just working in the hospitals, I've worked with people in all sorts of different avenues, so I know people kind of throughout, I don't want to say the entire state, but I would be hard pressed to not be able to find the right person to talk to. Does that, did I make that clear?
Yep.
I wasn't sure if that was, yeah.
The position interfaces with the public frequently. What skills do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents or sensitive and confidential health matters?
So again, I mean, as a nurse, you have to do that every day. So it's, I don't want to say, I mean, at this point, I don't want to say it's second nature, but really at this point, it is second nature for me to be able to deal with people in all sorts of different situations, no matter what it is. And then obviously dealing with confidential health information, you have to be very cognizant that you're not making that public. So it's can be difficult and tricky to navigate, but if it's something that's always in the back of your head, you're gonna make sure you do it right, because that is a big deal. Nobody wants anything like
Yeah,
that
it is.
open. And once again, I mean, in every job I've had, it's always dealing directly with some form of the public, some sort of customer facing, we're gonna call it, role. Not different type of customer, a patient or, actual customer, but, so I've developed, I believe, great communication skills over the years, and I've always been very good at being able to find out what people need and having the right conversations to get information that is going to be pertinent in that situation. So I don't think that would ever be an issue for me. It's again, I don't want to say it comes second nature, but at this point, it kind of does to me. I don't mean for that to sound arrogant to you.
No,
but-
no, you don't. No.
Do you have any experience or training in emergency preparedness? And if you do, what was the situation? What was your role?
Beyond just, again, I sound like a broken record going back to COVID, but that was such a integral part of my nursing career. And I think made me like a significantly better nurse than I was before. Beyond my participation in that and just working within the hospital setting, no direct emergency preparedness, but it's, again, it's one of those things that you may not work in it actively every day, but you at least know the kind of ground level. And I've always considered myself to be a quick learner. So things like that, I can pick up pretty quickly, and I'm not going in blind, so to speak, but I can't say I have. I mean, for sake of
Mhm.
transparency, I'm not gonna lie to you and say, yeah, I worked for FEMA, you know?
Right.
In between nursing school and my sales career, but you know, it's always something that's there, so I at least have the basic understanding.
Thank you.
What have you done in previous positions to help establish and maintain quality customer service within your organization or your department?
I think, I believe I may have said this before, but I've always been good about maintaining relationships, and I think part of that is just having a general positive attitude, but it's really about taking a genuine interest in people.
Mhm.
And it's one thing to just, you know, sit there and smile and nod your head and say, yeah, yes, I can do this for you, or whatever that may be. But I think I've always had a really good ability about being able to take a genuine interest in the patients, the customers, whatever it is, and really getting to know people more so than others may. And again, I don't want to sound arrogant, but it's one thing that my friends and coworkers would always say is like, they would come up to me like, Tony, I hate taking patients after you. And I'd be like, why? I'm thinking like,
Mhm.
do I leave a mess behind? Patients a disaster? And they're like, no, they always talk about how much they like you and like how you did a lot for them.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's good to know, but you know.
That's a positive.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, it's just that I always took a genuine interest, and I think I went above and beyond, because I think it's really important. If you want to have a patient be open and honest with you, you need to be open and honest with them.
Mhm.
But that starts with just having a positive, friendly demeanor. That was a lot of what I did. And again, the getting to know people on a more, I don't want to say personal level, but personal level,
Mhm.
because that's when you develop a sense of trust. I don't know if I'm that clear.
Yeah, and
They kind of
we
covered
work
that.
closely with the Council on Aging.
Mhm.
There are a lot of regulars that come in there, and they're fun.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun,
Yeah.
but and they do a good job of kind of catching when they're not feeling good.
Yeah, and I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
You know, when they know you a little bit more, they're
Exactly.
gonna be a little bit more open.
Yes, and they're more trusting too, because
Mhm.
some of them just don't want to go to doctors.
No,
And they're more trusting, and we pick it up, which is great.
yeah.
It's really good. We've got one of the best council on agents around. They're
That's good to hear.
amazing.
Very
As-
important.
Yes. As you probably noticed in the job description, the position is a part-time per diem role. What kinds of flexibility do you have to accommodate the needs of the position?
I would say, I mean, obviously I have my full-time role. That's a standard Monday through Friday,
Mhm.
sort of 8 to 5 type of thing. So that's obviously the priority for me. And I don't want that to sound like this wouldn't be a priority,
Mhm.
because this is just as important in a different manner. And something that to me, I want to be more invested in this town. So this would be a role I take very seriously. But again, the other job pays my bills. So I
Mhm.
have to kind of work around that, right? But with that said, I have a fairly flexible schedule, done by 5 every day. I think it's rare that I'm ever going over that. And then I have no commitments on weekends
Mhm.
beyond family obligations, but you know, that I can work around. And I guess it's more so to answer your question with a question. When do you find that most things are coming up? Most events, most obligations. And then I guess I would have a better idea of how I'd be able to work around that.
Well, we do some outreach programs,
Mhm.
mostly at some of the events we have here, like Cow Chip Festival. They have a tent there for the nurse.
Mhm.
But to be honest with you, most of it is during the week,
Okay.
you know, especially like Council on Aging.
Mhm.
They don't do too many things on the weekend. They're usually during the week when they have their get-togethers.
Okay,
But the outreach program, that can be done on the weekends.
mhm. So that, I guess, with that said, the weekend things would be no issue. If the Council on Aging type of stuff is gonna be in the middle of the day, that might make things a little bit tough
Mhm.
for me. And I can't say exactly that I'd be able to drop everything. for
Right,
that.
right.
So that's where things I think would get tough.
So, would you have any availability during the day, or is it kind of
Hmm.
booked in for the?
So it's hard for me to say. I mean, obviously I have a lunch break, but I
Mhm.
really
Yeah,
plan everything
right,
around
right.
the lunch break.
Yeah,
And there are times that I have, I never know, I should say, when I'm gonna have availability
mm-hmm,
beyond, because it's kind of like that 8 to 5 timeframe is work.
okay,
So it's hard for me to say, and again, I kind of had a feeling this would be the hiccup, so to speak, for me, is that sort of time commitment, because again, I am available, but I can't say I can't commit exactly to a full, hey, I'm gonna be available for sure at that time
right,
each day,
right, yeah,
right? And yeah, so.
Remember the flu clinics she did on weekends?
pardon?
The flu clinics, those were done on weekends. She did do a monthly blood pressure clinic.
Hmm.
And that was here at Council on Aging. I think a lot of the stuff that was done was kind of behind the scenes with all of the municipality stuff,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm,
attending meetings, and those were all pretty much during the week.
I know, yeah. And we have a lot of Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
That's the big thing we do, really.
Yeah, in the state, so everybody.
Yeah.
And we're getting really involved in a lot of that. I do anyway. What can I say? Okay, your turn.
Why do you feel you're the best candidate for this position?
Like I said before, I have a very diverse background. I don't know if there's many nurses who have both experience in sort of the corporate world, experience within the hospital, and have some, I'm not saying I ever held public office, but just having even that political science degree affords me a sort of new level of understanding of how everything works, and
Mm-hmm,
gives you a better idea of navigating all of these systems and bringing everything together. So while I may not have direct public health experience, I think the experience that I do have would fit perfectly into a public health type role. So I guess that's probably, long story short, the reason I would find myself to thrive in this type of role.
Thank you.
Okay, and finally, last question.
Vinny gets the last one.
Do you have any questions for us?
So one of my big questions was kind of what the time commitment was. I mean, I know it is a per diem rolling. You did sort of cover that a little bit.
Yeah,
That's the biggest one. And it seems like you folks answered that mostly. I guess too, what's the biggest challenge, I think, in this role that you folks face? I guess that might be too broad of a question too. I mean, that's probably a million different ways to
yeah,
answer that, but.
the nursing position is very, I mean, you deal with schools, you deal with the seniors, you
Mhm.
deal with a lot of associations and rules and regulations that you have to keep up with.
Yeah.
That's why the Google a lot of time. Am I saying Google? Oh, my God,
Yeah.
I'm tired. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, just some of the
But
things like,
Google, you can stay on top of things that way.
Yeah.
some of the responsibilities that, that the public health nurse had was the senior center holding a blood pressure clinic monthly. I don't know, did they do that on the weekends or did they,
She used to come in early for it.
yeah?
It didn't take long, because there wasn't too many attendees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was done quickly.
Which I hate to say that I could probably make it work because I wouldn't want to make a promise that I can't keep. That just seems unprofessional.
I can get a better time schedule she had to see, you know, if that's something you could make work.
Yeah, and I think that would be
Yeah.
important to kind of see how those things work because again, like I
Exactly.
think this is you know, the whole reason I even came across this is now that I've been in Dayton for 4
Mhm.
years now, I want to get more involved in the town. So I just happened to go on the town website. And then I saw the posting and I was like,
Mhm.
this is some sort of divine providence that this is
Right.
posted. Right when I decided to go
Mhm.
look to see kind of how to get more involved in the town. So it is something that I would like to make work if it's possible, but again, I have to make it work around what I'm
Mhm.
currently doing, because again, that's
No, I understand.
how I afford to stay in Dayton.
Yeah.
I'll get the time that she put in.
Yeah, I think that would be super helpful for me going forward. and I think
Definitely,
all of
yeah.
us, because
Yeah.
again, I'm very interested in the position, and
You'll share that, Liz, right?
if I can make that work, that'd be great.
Any other questions?
No, I mean, should I ask? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think we've kind of covered everything here.
Yeah,
The big ones for me were sort of so what brought about the opening? these
the
don't always
previous
come up.
nurse is also one of our select.
Okay,
And she was part-time at 3 different towns. It was Norton, Dayton, and Middleborough. And
Okay.
Middleborough offered her a full-time job.
okay.
I believe that's what happened. And she decided to go that way. And with her job as select, man, it was just way too much.
That's a lot on one
Yeah,
person's
it
plate.
was way
so
too much.
That makes sense, and I have to imagine
Yeah.
trying to be a selectman and the.
But
Nurse for the town
she's
is-
always available and very helpful. So it's not as if she's gone.
Yeah,
She's-
right.
Yeah, she's still available for any kind of consultation,
Mhm.
which is great.
Yeah, that's nice to have her
Yeah.
still right there.
Exactly.
I don't think many
Exactly.
towns have that kind of resource.
No, usually they're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Once they're gone, they're
um,
gone, so.
And we've been working also with the Rehoboth, the nurse,
Mhm.
doing a couple of things, so we're kind of spreading out also.
Yeah,
And it works good that way.
that's good. That's
Yeah,
good
it
that you have
really
a-
does.
It makes
It really
sense to have
does.
a good working relationship with
Mhm.
given.
Especially where Dayton Rehoboth High
Right.
School is a combination of both
Right,
towns.
exactly. The towns are intertwined.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that covers most of my questions. I'm sure I'll think of them as I get in my car and drive away, so.
That's usually
That's
the
how-
way. That's
right.
usually the way. Okay, well, thank you so much. Does anybody else have any questions or
Thank you,
comments?
Tony.
Thank you. I really appreciate
Yes,
you
thank
folks
you,
meeting with
Tony.
me on a Tuesday. When? Is it Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Liz
Liz has to keep us informed. We're not sure what day or what time it is half the
Wasn't
time.
Probably none of us would be.
Oh, gosh.
I guess one last question, actually. What are the next steps? When should I expect to hear back from you folks?
In the next couple of days, I
Okay,
would
cool.
say. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know,
we
Liz
have
has
to-
got to research a little bit.
Reach out to Nicole and then I'll coordinate everything and.
If it helps at all, I'm open to talking with Nicole as well to
Mhm.
get a kind of better idea of how she was doing things. and
Right,
Maybe that might help us.
that may be a
Sorta.
good idea.
And I'll do it over Zoom because I know coordinating times is tough and, you know,
Yes. Zoom is a lifesaver.
yeah.
It really is.
Sure.
This, yeah, I
It's
mean,
a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, we're here tomorrow and Thursday, so I should have an answer for you by Thursday.
Okay, cool.
mhm.
All right, great. All All right, well, thank you so much
Thank you.
for meeting with me and
Nice meeting
you.
you.
look forward to hearing from you folks soon.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Us too. Thank you,
Oh, I
Tony,
don't want to trip.
very much. Very interesting. Thank
Nice
you.
to speak with you all as well.
Thank you, Tony.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you officially.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. You folks get home safe, all right?
You
Thank
too,
you.
Tony.
Thank you.
Old business. Oh, review, discuss, act, health agent candidate withdrawal. Yes, we did nominate someone to the selectmen, and in between the time he reverted back to his previous job. So we are opening the job of health agent again for the Board of Health. Public input? Mr. Hull, would you like to say anything?
You're the only public here.
Working well together.
We do. I think we do. I'm proud of these guys. Yeah,
We get things done.
yeah, we do. We try real hard.
So one question, going
Yes.
back to Ray, the town nurse, are we going to be talking about anything or?
We will. I
Okay.
think when at the end, can we talk about it, or should we have talked when we were working on it?
All right, we can go back. Go back to talk about the town nurse?
Yeah, because all we have left is items not reasonably anticipated within 48 hours, and I don't think we have anything.
I just didn't want to go out of order. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. Well, you know
I wanted to make
how
sure I
I
was
run these
staying on
meetings.
track.
You know how I run these meetings, right? We all participate.
That's right.
Okay, I was surprised. It was a big surprise to me, knowing that he wouldn't be able to basically come from 8 to 5. That really threw a wrench in everything.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Because
agree.
I do like him a lot.
I do too.
Very personable. He seems
Yes.
like he would be, he's got the right knowledge. He's a registered nurse. Liz, again, awesome, pulling this together with like the responsibilities, like
Absolutely.
what they did. And so that's what I was reading as, we were.
That was actually Nicole.
Was it
Yeah.
Nicole? Yeah,
Yeah, that was helpful.
Oh,
Yeah, it
it
was
was
really
great. It's
talking.
great. I was reading it. Yeah.
and that's when that was the biggest thing, turn off for me, was the availability, because when you're looking at, the Council on Aging,
Mhm.
and yeah, you're gonna do that. Yeah, you could do that on the weekend, but are you really gonna? I mean, are people gonna?
No, they're not
They're
open.
not. I
on
don't
the
think they were. I didn't think they
weekend,
were either. So you had that. It had emergency planning on here. It had,
no. And also attending. some
attending
of the
meetings,
things that they
conferences,
have to.
Maven,
Yeah,
yes.
the monthly meetings.
Bi-weekly meetings as well.
Mhm.
So to me, it just, if he had a part-time role, a part-time job, I think he would be fine, but I think the full-time job is just,
It's gonna get in the way.
it's gonna get in the
I
way.
think so.
And it's so disappointing because he was
He was very good.
everything we really need.
Yes, I was really impressed with
Yes.
him.
Yep, me too.
His
I'm-
personality, his
Mhm.
experience, his wide knowledge,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, he had a nice diverse background. It wasn't just like
Yes,
a little vertical market, if you will, just like it was very broad-based.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna be working like 8 to 5, and that's it, and you've got no time,
Yeah.
how are you gonna make that work?
And then I'm not sure where he works, what town. Norwell.
Oh, well,
So
He has a
now you're
ride.
talking about commute time with traffic.
so you're not gonna be, God, from Norwell to here?
I think he did say you work from home Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay,
Yes, that's right, on the application, he did say that.
that's right. You did say that.
And then, some of the other things, obviously, he didn't have some of the experience and some of the other, like Maven and things like that, which I wouldn't,
Right.
Really
That made
expect-
sense why he didn't work at
Right.
the hospital. He didn't have to.
right,
Because anything came up, his supervisors would have done, any such reporting.
yeah, I didn't have a lot of problems with that, like
No.
not working with boards of health and Mass Department of Public Health.
No,
you know,
not at all.
unless you're in this role, when are you gonna get it?
Right.
It's one of those types of things, right? I thought he had, he had a lot of experience working with people, working in a hospital setting. No issue working with the public. You can tell he's a very, very personal person,
Mhm.
Absolutely. And that was a big thing.
but I think the 8 to 5 is
That's what sort of kills it.
Yeah, that really tripped us up.
I didn't expect that. When I was reading it,
Yeah. And then here's the thing, even if you did have events on the weekend, if you really want to work.
yeah, it's gonna work
the
like,
Days of,
I think he would though. I really do. I think he wanted to work. He wanted to
Mhm.
participate. I really do.
but he's gonna work 8 to 5,
Time limit.
drive from Norwell, God knows when you get back here, depending on traffic, call it 6 o'clock, 6:30. You're
Minimum.
gonna work
6.
until a couple of hours there or work on the weekends besides. I
Yeah.
don't see that.
maybe for a short time, but not long-term,
Correct.
and then would be right back
Yeah,
in the
you're gonna
same
be burned.
position.
And then if something arises like COVID again.
Yep.
We really need a nurse that can be here.
Mhm.
Mhm. And it's a per diem position, right?
Yes.
It still would be good to get that information because,
Yeah. That would-
Mhm.
if you asked me to vote right now, I would say no. I wouldn't make the recommendation just because of the time. Other than that, I think it would be fine. But it would be good to if we get that information about what amount of time they put in.
Yeah, I should be able to get that to you tomorrow, and then you guys, I don't know if we want to, everybody just reply to me, not to each other,
Mhm.
with your input, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, do you know, like, off the top of your head, like what, or maybe Barbara, you would know, it was like, how many hours a week did this person, did a public health nurse?
It wasn't a lot, to be honest.
It was very varied. Towards the end, she was working, I think, 17 hours the last couple of weeks.
Hmm.
But other than that, it was only 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, so that's a perfect job for a retired person
Yes.
with a lot of experience. It's perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's too bad because he was really good.
I know.
But that, I would be a no.
Well, I guess we just have to wait for him to retire now.
I'll get you guys some information tomorrow from Nicole.
Okay.
Okay, should we take a vote?
How about if we make
Table it
a
until-
motion to table it and then wait for the information from,
Then we'd have to have another meeting
When's our next
to
meeting?
can we
vote
do it
on.
on next meeting?
That's not until November 19th.
Could we do just like a Zoom meeting, like a quick Zoom meeting, maybe? Something like that?
It'd have to be posted though.
Yeah, I need 48 hours to post it, so it would be Monday, the 4th. But if it's Zoom, we could do it anytime you guys are available.
Just do something like, if it's just gonna be a
Yeah.
quick half hour or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah,
Could I have a motion?
a second.
No, you've got to make a
I'll
motion.
make that.
Somebody has to make
I
a,
have to make the motion.
somebody has to make
I have to make the motion for
a.
the Zoom meeting? I'll make the motion for the Zoom.
No, to table it, to
Okay, motion
table
to
it.
table. Motion to table.
I second that.
Okay, can I have a vote on that, please?
Aye.
Aye. We will table it until, let's make it Monday. Would that be all right, Liz? Could you get the info we need by then?
Yeah, you have solid waste at 4:30 on Monday though, so it's gonna have to be before or after.
Want to do it after? Is that okay?
Yeah. We could do
That's
it
fine.
Monday night,
Monday night?
yes. So we'll table it until Monday night and probably do a Zoom. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
Oh, motion.
Second.
Can I have a vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned, 7:15. Thank you all. You did a great job.
Thank you.